I wasn't really planning on making another video about this subject. If you haven't checked it out already, in my first video, I go over the subject of smurfing itself, why it is comparatively worse in Valorant compared to similar games, and rebut some of the common arguments that defend smurfing. But here I am, because Riot released on May 6th their latest Ask Valorant post that highlights the topic of smurfing, almost like it's becoming a bigger issue and they really need to reference it. And holy cow, I'm at a loss of words for how bad it is. Well, almost at a loss for words. It is so vague and apologetic to the subject that it reads like they took every condescending and gaslighting argument from the big brain Redditors in r/Valorant, and then they grabbed Jimmy, the unpaid PR intern, and told him to spin this into a sugary article that reads well. So you know what? Let's just go through this, and any big points that jump out to me, we'll just break it down. Smurfs and Smurfettes, while relatively small in number, are absolutely real and frustrating to play against. We've been collecting and incorporating feedback from all of our channels, and have since spun an investigation into the current state of smurfing in Valorant. Because we're currently deep in this investigation, there is no actionable plan to share just yet. However, we want to, at the very least, provide insight into the fundamental questions our team is actively tackling. How do we identify smurfs in our systems? And how often are players running into them? Why do players smurf? Is there a need that isn't being met that is forcing players to smurf? What changes do we need to make in order to combat smurfing? For those that encounter smurfs, we know it's tough to stomach that there is no immediate solution today. Wow, alright, let's just go into stuff right there. Let's break that down. There is no immediate solution that they can implement today. That is the biggest load of bullshit I have ever heard in my life coming from a company. Wow. You could literally implement, off the top of my head, 2-factor authentication, CSGO Prime system, change the XP system to a level system so that Smurfs would actually have to grind, like in League of Legends and other games, to make their account comp ready instead of just winning 10 unranked games. Implement a flex queue, like in League of Legends. Make 2 different unrated playlists, one that's a little bit more casual and labeled as such, and one that is specifically made for basically a comp environment, but not comp, and all people of all ranks can play. These are literally off the top of my head. And actually, you know what? There's one more that I would like to talk about, but I'm going to save it for the next subject that we're going to see here. So, reading through the rest of this article, no immediate solution today, but we have to make sure that we're approaching this complex space in the right way without screwing up other systems. For example, we notice that a big chunk of Smurfs do so with no malicious intent. They're trying to play competitively with friends outside of their rank. Whereas there may still be a minority who create Smurf accounts with bad intent. So, oh my goodness. So this is their big second point in this article. Our investigation shows that the majority of Smurfs do so without bad intent, they just want to play with their friends. Right, get the fuck out of here. Like, what's the point of ranked? Is it to play with friends? Like, obviously it's nice to play with friends, but when you break it down, what is the main point of playing a competitive ranked game system? You know what? I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to let you answer that by looking at your March 18th Ask Valorant post that states, "Ranked is about finding your true skill, and we will hold you accountable to the skill level you are playing." Hold you accountable. You know, unless you're making extra accounts to play with your friends, keep them in the game buying skins, and if you happen to buy an extra skin in your Smurf account, well, you know, in that case, fuck accountability. I mean, not to mention, if playing with your friends is so important to you, Riot, why can't higher elos 5-stack? You know, forget people who can't play with friends in different ranks. These guys can't even play with friends in their own rank. Like, honestly, this is just laughable. You've taken all the responsibility off of yourself, especially when we consider how tremendously easy you've made it for people to make Smurf accounts. And you've warped it into this apologetic stance defending Smurfing. And the best part is, It doesn't even make sense when we look at how you have addressed ranked in a different conversation. So, let's continue. Combating Smurfing is not only about punishment, it's also about making Valorant more accessible, so those without bad intentions no longer feel the need to Smurf. Once we're at a point where we feel comfortable with the solution we have put in place, and feel like we have mitigated these reasons, that's when we will be able to put the foot down on those remaining folks, potentially booting them from this game. You want a solution? Sure, like I said, I have one more solution that I thought of. So, Riot, if you are so concerned about the Smurfs who can't play with their friends, here's an idea. Again, borrowing from CSGO, make it so you can play with whatever rank distribution that you want. Iron 1 and Radiant? Fuck it, go nuts, why not? But it has to be a full 5-stack, and you have to play at the lobby of the highest ranked in that stack. So let's say you have a 5-stack of 3 bronze and 2 plats. This is going to be a game in a full plat lobby, probably also playing against 5 plats. Now, if you think that your coordination as a 5-stack of friends and the power of friendship is going to help you get over that rank difference, man, all the power to you, my guy. Like, go for it. Maybe your friends are honestly just stuck in elo hell, and this is the platform where they can try to prove that. But I think we know what would happen in reality. People are still going to Smurf. Because when Smurfs are jumping down into the lower ranked lobby, they just want to play with their friends. Come on, you can't blame them. Regardless of the fact that they're ruining the competitive lobby for the other team. But if these Smurfs actually have to risk their rank and their competitive experience by playing with their bronze friends in their plat lobbies, I guarantee you, all of a sudden these guys are going to care a lot less about playing with their friends. Once again, I'm sure that some people would actually be 100% down for this kind of system. And you know what? If you're actually cool with that and that keeps you from Smurfing, that's awesome, man. That's great to hear. But I would bet my left fucking testicle that the overwhelming majority of Smurfs would continue to just play down in their friends' rank, ruining that lobby's experience, rather than actually risk their own rank and competitive experience. Hell, you apparently have the data, Riot. You said so yourself that you are currently investigating this matter, and you found the majority of Smurfs just are playing with their friends. So let's call that bluff. Implement this 5-stack change, give it a month, and re-examine the data. Let's see how serious these guys really are about just playing with their friends. Hoo boy, and then to round it all up, there's just this one last paragraph. Hey, while we're here, it's probably good to note that although playing against players who appear to be boosted can be a tilting experience, our findings show that Smurfing isn't actually as prevalent as some of the community might have you believe. Yes, sometimes you may just happen to stumble across someone having a good game. To be clear, we are not denying or diminishing the severity of the Smurfing problem space, and we are fully committed to working with you on combating it. But next time you see a player who's doing really well, remember that maybe, just maybe, they're simply popping off. Like I said earlier, this is like you grabbed Jimmy the intern, told him to grab some common arguments on r/Valorant, and take a sugary PR spin on it. We're not diminishing the severity of the Smurfing problem, but it's not as bad as you think, so, quit complaining. Okay, that was a bit of an exaggeration. And if you haven't watched my previous video, yes, obviously sometimes people just pop off. You're the biggest factor in your rank. You can't blame Smurfs for all your losses. I'm not saying I'm stuck in my rank because of Smurfs. I agree, there's a lot I need to benefit from, blah, blah, blah. But I think what is so frustrating about this last paragraph is how freaking vague it is. Like, look at this. This is the worst offender. This sentence here is the worst offender in that paragraph. Our findings show that Smurfing actually isn't as prevalent as some of the community might have you believe. Like, let's break that sentence down. Our findings show. What are your findings? When we asked you about Dodgers, you gave us specific data that 50% of Dodgers are done by 2% of the community. Where's that information here? What percentage of Smurfs are there? What's their distribution among the ranks? How many Smurfs have multiple accounts? You said that you found that most Smurfs play to just play with their friends. How did you find this information out? How many of them are doing this compared to other Smurfs? Does this account for the guys who are only popping off, or does it also consider the guys who don't really pop off, but are just hanging back and clutch to make sure that their team wins? Let's break down this sentence some more. What do you even define as a Smurf? Some people define it as only being diamond above. Some people define it as immortal above. Some people, myself included, think that if you have to make a new account to play in a certain rank, you're smurfing. But how do you define it here? And finally, breaking down the last part of this one sentence, as prevalent as some of the community might have you believe, who is this some in this community? What level does this some claim to be smurfing? Obviously, some people think that there are smurfs in literally every single game, and I would disagree with that. But a lot of people think that smurfs are relatively infrequent, but they are common enough to ruin the competitive experience at large. Do these people fall under that category of some who have been claiming? Why or why not? Like, my god, for such a broad and condescending final paragraph that is trying to make us feel better about this subject, it's so vague and gaslighting. You know, I brought this up in my previous video, but there are two parties who can really address and provide active fixes to this issue with smurfing. Riot itself and the Valorant community. And almost impressively, Riot has managed to fuck up both of those parties' actions when it comes to smurfing with this one single post. On their side, they have blatantly ignored measures that they could implement if they really wanted to, and they have been festering this forgiving attitude towards Smurfs that just want to play with their friends. And on the community side, like, holy cow, this vague, condescending, gaslighting final paragraph here. I can already see it. Every single time someone brings up the subject of smurfing, every single Smurf apologist, and every single Smurf boosted player is going to immediately point to this post in this last paragraph. Hey, Riot themselves said it, smurfing isn't that bad, quit whining. So, the company that benefits from Smurfs buying extra skins and keeping their friends in the game to buy extra skins is telling us that Smurfs aren't that bad. Mind-blowing, I know. Man, I honestly don't even know what to say anymore. At this point, I'm embarrassed to have spent money in this game. I literally spent $20 on the freaking Forsaken Vandal last night. I'm just embarrassed. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Type eSuck uninstall down below. See ya.